So what is a runway? According to ICAO Annex 14, a defined rectangular area on a land aerodrome prepared for takeoff and landings of an aircraft is called a runway. Now the sighting and orientation of runway depends on several factors. That includes climatological conditions most importantly, where the selection of wind data would be taken so that the usability factor can be calculated. And the data should extend over as long as a period possible and preferably not less than 5 years. The topography of aerodromes and its surroundings also matters because this takes part in deciding the compliance with obstacle limitation surfaces, protection of sensitive and residential areas, and construction cost as well. Moreover, the air traffic in the vicinity also matters. Like if there is an aerodrome with the runway orientation of 3.6 and 1.8, you have to decide the orientation and sighting of your runway based on this 3.6 and 1.8 direction of that aerodrome. And one more important factor that impacts the sighting and orientation of a runway is ATC procedures and missed approach procedures. Moving forward, the length of the runway should be adequate for its operations. But if we talk about the width of a runway, that depends upon the outer main gear wheel span of an aircraft that is intended to be served by that runway. Now, how do we define the width of a runway? It depends on the code numbers of the runway, either 1, 2, 3, or 4. If you don't know the code numbers, there's already a video on my channel that explains how does aerodrome reference codes work. So if the outer main gear wheel span for an aircraft that is to be served by that runway is up to but not including 4.5 meters, code number 1 will have runway width of 18 meters, 2 would have 23 meters, 3 would have 30 meters. If the outer main gear wheel span is 4.5 meter up to but not including 6 meters, code 1 will have 18 meters wide runway, 2 will have 23 meters, and 3 would have 30 meters. Now, if the outer main gear wheel span of the aircraft is 6 meter up to but not including 9 meters, then the width of runway would be at code number 1, it would be 23 meters, for code number 2, 30 meters, code number 3, 30 meters, and code number 4, 45 meters. If the outer main gear wheel span is 9 meters but up to but not including 15 meters, then code number 1 and 2 cannot serve such aircraft, but code number 3 will have a runway that is 45 meters wide, and 4 will also have the same runway. This is important to highlight that the width of a pristine approach runway should be not less than 30 meters, where the code number is 1 or 2. Now we talk about the parallel runways. Depending upon the quantum of flying the aerodrome is going to serve, parallel runways could be constructed. When the parallel runways are non-instrument but are intended for simultaneous use, the minimum distance between the center lines should be, in case of code number 3 and 4, 210 meters, in case of code number 2, 150 meters, in case of code number 1, 120 meters. But if the parallel runways are intended for simultaneous use while they are instrument runways, then the minimum distance between the center lines should be 1035 meters for independent parallel approaches, 915 meters for dependent parallel approaches, 760 meters for independent parallel departures, and segregated parallel operations. I hope this was very easy to understand.